Signs and warnings of death. The risen Jesus Christ instructed his disciples. Believers will be accompanied by signs. In Chernivtsi, when I was serving in the church of St. Paraskiva, a believer, Yevdokia, brought me a young grieving girl. A few days ago her husband died. A wonderful man, of good character, a loving husband. He was driving a car out of town. The road stretched along a field on both sides, there was a wind. A sudden gust lifted the car into the air and carried away a stout tree. The young man died instantly. The widow told me that about 15 minutes before her husband's death, she was in her apartment in a room. There was a large ceramic dish hanging on the wall, securely fastened, and suddenly it fell to the floor and broke into pieces. A premonition of bad things seized her, and an hour later she learned about the tragedy with her husband. There is another case. There was a parishioner. Her name was Aunt Sasha. She was already in her 90s. She had lost her husband during the Great Patriotic War, and he reached Berlin. I loved him so much, she recalled, that when he came home from service, and he was a soldier, my legs would give out and my breath would go out. After he died, she never married again. So her husband was riding a motorcycle through the occupied territory, and he was shot in the heart by a German sniper. And at that moment, as she later learned from a fellow soldier, when the bullet hit her husband's heart, it was as if the same bullet had hit her heart thousands of kilometers away. She says, "My eyes went dark with pain. I immediately turned gray, my soul felt that my beloved was gone." And here is another case in our time, in Kiev. The wife of a non-believer official, our parishioner, a pious woman named Elizabeth, with whom we repeatedly visited the holy city of Jerusalem, Gethsemane, where the relics of Saint Elizabeth lie. She had been ill for a long time and was so weak that she could not speak or even raise her arms. One sister of mercy of our church took care of her and served her. One day, in the absence of her husband, the sister found the sick woman sitting on the bed in her room, dressed. Elizabeth asked the sister to go with her to another room. She opened the closet with clothes and linen, sorted through all the things, put the necessary things on top and said that everything laid out should be put on her when she died. When the sister of mercy said that the sick woman would get better, thank God, and of course she would recover, Elizabeth told the following. While she was sleeping, a very beautiful woman came into the room, dressed in a white dress of ancient cut. The woman gently asked her not to worry, not to be afraid, and said that she had come to warn her of her imminent death. She advised her to take communion and prepare the necessary clothes. At the same time, she forbade her to tell to her husband about what she had seen, warning of bad consequences. Then the woman disappeared. After that, Elizabeth felt so much strength that she was able to get up and get dressed. Having said this, Elizabeth asked not to tell her husband about this phenomenon, but to call a priest for confession and communion. Elizabeth returned to her room, and on the same day she confessed and received the holy mysteries of Christ. After communion, she lay down, very radiant and joyful, and told the priest that it was Elizabeth herself who came and warned her of her death. The next day she died. When it was time to dress the deceased, the sister told the husband that his wife had prepared everything herself and showed him where the things were. She also told him about his wife's vision before dying. Subsequently, this widower, a Kiev official, became a churchman and repeatedly traveled with me to the holy Mount Athos. Moreover, the Athonite elder Macarius confirmed that his wife had indeed received great mercy before her death in the apparition of the holy martyr Elizabeth. The Lord said that faith does not come through signs, but signs accompany those who believe. Such signs are given to those who are faithful and obedient to strengthen them in their faith and help them to do the will of God.